bears. There they are, flying through. Tropical storm Imelda, all kinds of lightning out there too.
Just a casual flight.
Yeah,
it's fine.
No big deal.
I think they suspend beverage service for a second, but then they just, it's
No, they find a way. They got to keep hydrated on these multi-hour flights. They're flying for 10, 12 hours sometimes.
Yeah. It is wild. The turbulence, the view, part of the job, and again, trying to drink out of that water bottle while you're also bumping up and down.
And if you're assuming that you'd rather be flying Imelda because it's a weaker storm, tropical storms and Cat 1 hurricanes can be a bumpier ride because it's not as consistent of a thunderstorm structure. It can be ups and downs big time.
You're really selling it, Dr. Knapp,
well,
but there they are, Imelda and Umberto side by side here. Umberto's been surprisingly strong for a surprisingly long amount of time.
Oh, man. And as it goes northward around Bermuda, even as it weakens a little bit, it's going to get larger and larger, and we're going to feel those waves all up and down the East Coast. Then you got Imelda adding to the mix.
That's been the theme of this hurricane season. It's been all about the waves as opposed to actual landfalls, just the coastal issues. This week, no exception.
We'll take it. We just got to be smart at the coast this week.
Indeed we do. All right, Dr. Rick Knapp, Alex Wilson, I'm Mike Bettis. We've got everything you need to know about the tropics this evening. The good news is, after we get past these two systems, maybe we'll just take another breather again, hopefully.
And we'll go back to the upper troughs and the fronts over Florida.
Yes, we do. At least, we stick with what we know. We understand it. We prepare. That we continue to deal with here with the outer bands of Imelda, bringing some of that rain, especially to the coastal area. So observed rainfall over the last 3 days. Now remember, this includes rainfall that's not associated with our tropical system. Late last week, we had rain falling across sections of the southeast. So some areas through parts of central and eastern South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia have seen 1 to 2+ inches of rain just in the past few days. Now, early part of the week, Imelda and Umberto will be steering some of that moisture westward. So we'll see some showers across sections of the southeast, very similar to what Mike just showed us in the state of Florida. So we've got some scattered rain, at times some heavier downpours, and that's very much going to be what we're watching for across Georgia, across South Carolina, and across North Carolina, especially the eastern part of those states. Now, our upper low across the southeast U.S. also helping to add the lift. And when you've got lift, or you've got very moist air being lifted, you'll get some of those downpours. And so with that will come the chance that we could see some flash flooding. It's the lowest end risk, but it's a risk of flash flooding across sections of South and North Carolina, a little bit of coastal Georgia as well. Because remember, we've already seen rain through last Friday and over the weekend, and now with rain showers back in play, we could be looking at just too much of a rainy thing. Thunderstorms down near Wilmington, some offshore of Georgetown. We've got some heavier downpours and thunderstorms from the Outer Banks now moving into interior parts of North Carolina. Again, they're pretty scattered, but there have been areas where the rainfall rates go up in intensity. You get some rumbles of thunder, and so that's why we've got that opportunity for flash flooding, little moderate rain around places like Gaffney, South Carolina right now. Future radar does show that trend continues here through the evening, overnight, and into the day tomorrow. It is very much waves of rain. There will be periods of dry time. There will be periods of rain showers and thunderstorms. This continues into Tuesday evening. By Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, you can see a lot of that shower action is done as Imelda makes that turn, and cloud cover also begins to disappear. We'll see some more sunshine into Wednesday. Well, officials in Dare County, North Carolina, they're warning that high tides could make parts of Highway 12 impassable. Our senior national correspondent, Justin Michaels, joins us live from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Justin, looks like people out there taking in the waves. Luckily, no one in the water. Especially there in the Outer Banks, we have seen the issues when it comes to tropical systems. We look back at October 2009, of course, Highway 12 moving through the Rodanthe area where the beach is, and you can see how the coastline has moved inward. So we've lost some of that coastline, and that's why we've got some of those homes basically in the water, if not truly in the water. We've lost some of those. Also, Highway 12, they moved that, so actually worked it back through the Sound. Back in December 2019, that was not the case. We had the road right there on the Outer Banks. Now, as of February 2022, we've got the road going back behind the Outer Banks area. But This season, it's been all about the waves. We haven't had the storms really making landfall, with the exception of Chantal. What we've had are these storms that got closer, made the turn, but churned up the ocean, and so brought us the big waves, brought us the dangerous rip currents, brought us some other coastal issues, coastal erosion, coastal flooding. And this storm, or this pair of storms, really will be no exception. There's Imelda and Humberto's current tracks, both moving out. Coastline. When we look at our globe, well, they disappeared, but they'll be back in a second. Things there. Two storms, both moving away, but both leaving the ocean kind of churned, like when you start the waves in your own bathtub, but this on a much larger ocean scale. So things active here along the East Coast, and of course we've got to watch Bermuda, because this island not in the forecast cone for Humberto. It's going to be a pass off to the the west of the island. Bermuda stays to the east of Humberto, and then the storm actually curves north of the island before it exits stage right. But look at Imelda's forecast cone. Imelda makes that northeast turn, continues to move northeast. Bermuda really right down the middle of that forecast cone. Now, to get a direct hit on the island, obviously not easy. This is a speck in the middle of a very, very large ocean, but certainly in play for Imelda. Now, the island of Bermuda sees a landfalling tropical system once every 6 to 8 years. So while it may feel like it should be more often, it's not necessarily common. But impacts to the island, they've come from multiple storms, even without a direct landfall. So how can such an isolated spot handle situations like this? Meteorologist Stephanie Abrams explains.
The hurricane hunters, we know they've got kind of a spine-tingling job, don't they? This is them flying through Tropical Storm Imelda. Look at all the lightning with that thing.
Yeah, that's from the cockpit. Lightning going crazy. And also you notice a little bumping.
Yeah, a couple of things about tropical storms that the hurricane hunters have learned the hard way is that they are prolific lightning producers, even more so than a lot of hurricanes. And they are many ways bumpier rides than hurricanes, because you just have these pop-up thunderstorms and it's an up and down, up and down. Ugh. Man, that's a rough ride.
I guess it's like having
Seatbelt
teenagers
fasten,
as a kid, right? It's like a little rougher because they're kind of getting their act together. Whereas when you've got like a young adult, now you're like, oh, okay, they're established, they've got a job. That's when you get a hurricane.
That is a very good visual for how the two types of storms behave.
Tropical systems are like 13-year-olds.
I look at it, but both are expensive. That's how I look at it.
So true. And when they're pairing up and they're ganging up on us,
You're in trouble.
We get twins.
Yeah, tropical twins, Imelda and Humberto. We've been waiting. Finally got Imelda yesterday. The good news is, I know we were also waiting to find out where it was going to make landfall, and right now the answer is not here.
well, when we looked at all those ensembles back on Friday, one of the scenarios was it never makes landfall, but it is still, along with Humberto, going to make for yet another long episode of nasty coastal conditions all up and down the East Coast.
Yeah, not a good beach week, but luckily, as Justin Michaels has said, it's kind of late in the season.
You should be in school.
Yeah, kids, get to school. Don't get your life together. Don't be a messy tropical system. Let's take you to Sebastian Inlet, Florida, where things have been. Is not going to see some rain. There will be rainfall that comes down, and this is on the heels of a little soggier end of the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had rain that was not attributed to Imelda. So plenty of spots picking up 1 to 2+ inches of rain across sections of the Carolinas and Virginia. But now we've got our two tropical systems, and what they've done is kept the moisture around. So we've got a lot of atmospheric moisture, and with an upper level low that is still over the southeast, that provides the lift. So what happens when you lift moisture? You get cloud cover, you get rain showers, and you get some heavier downpours. And so in some of these areas where we've already seen 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 inch totals, you get some downpours, you get some flash flooding. It's a lower risk of flash flooding, but it's a non-zero risk through tomorrow morning. We look at the upstate and Midlands of South Carolina to the low country, eastern sections of Georgia, and a lot of the state of North Carolina, I-77, I-40 corridors, I-95 corridors. So central and eastern parts of the state all watching for that possibility. Now out there this evening, we don't have much in the way of really heavy rain. There have been some thunderstorms down around the Wilmington area, out towards the Outer Banks. We've got a few few offshore of South Carolina, but for the most part, looking at the upstate of South Carolina, western North Carolina, it's light to moderate rain that's coming down. So this has been manageable. No flash flood warnings in effect. Georgetown, you're going to see that rainfall rate increase a bit. You can see some of that moderate rain in the yellow lurking offshore. So I think the rates increase. But again, for a lot of these areas, it should be manageable if we keep it in check. It's when you get the rounds of downpours or one particularly slow moving downpour. That's when you see things fill up pretty quickly. So we'll watch this. But I think the good news also with the setup that we've got, not dealing with a landfall of a system that's just going to sit and rain itself out, is that we'll have rain, then a break, then more showers, then a break, then more rain, then a break. So it's all going to be pretty we get it in bits. That's going to keep us from getting overwhelmed in most cases. And that's why we've got just that low end risk of flash flooding. Now, tomorrow morning may not be the easiest drive. Around like I-26 going from Greenville down to the Newberry area. We could see some heavy downpours, but then you get a break. Any chances of rain coming back for the afternoon. But for nobody is it going to be continuous heavy rain. So there's some good news for us. Now, officials in Dare County, North Carolina, they're warning that what's happening in the water could cause problems. High tides could make parts of Highway 12 impassable. The Weather Channel's Justin Michaels joins us live from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina this evening. Highway 12, always a problem. Well, we've got two tropical systems off the coast, and that means danger in the water. We've talked about the rough surf, the big waves, but rip current danger also high, and it's most of the southeast states. In fact, all the way to South Florida, high danger of rip current today. Coastal sections of Georgia, coastal sections of South Carolina and North Carolina. For the most part, majority of beaches are under that high danger of rip current. So if you are heading to the beaches, absolutely critical you swim near the lifeguards. Well, places like Folly Beach, South Carolina, they're going to be dealing with rip currents, wind, and waves. Meteorologist Jim Cantori has more.
Well, just another day on the job for hurricane hunters flying the tropical storm Imelda. What a bumpy ride.
And quite a view from the cockpit. I would not like to see that, and we try to avoid that on most flights. But Dr. Knapp, not the hurricane hunters.
No, how would you like to be related to these folks? They come back from a flight, you go, how was your day at the office? Well, the office was a little bumpy, but not as bad as usual. I mean, you know, this is the kind of thing they deal with all the time. But the views they get, both day and night, I think are worth the discomfort they sometimes have to endure. And let's face it, they're facing some serious dangers out there for all of us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. We're happy they're out there. They're doing a thankless job, but really helping us, know more about hurricanes and improve the forecast.
Yeah. And I'm not doing it, so I'm glad they are. It's one of those jobs where you're like,
stomachs of steel.
Better you than me.
I was brave enough to go on those Hurricane Hunter planes on an awareness tour.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
It counts.
Not actually into a storm.
No.
Like you're flying from just one city to another. It was transport.
It was enough for me to land in the C-130 in good weather. I just listened to the stories of how bumpy tropical storms are for them.
Yeah, that's how I like. You do it by story, by proxy.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's been a season of storms that have made that curve, and this storm Imelda, no exception. St. Augustine, Florida, we pulled all the residents last week. I guess late last week, we had a system making landfall and then hanging out over the southeast, bringing inches, even feet of rain. Not the case with the current track and forecast for Imelda. Over the last 3 days, out ahead of any tropical influenced rain, we had rain across the southeast Friday into the weekend. Some areas picking up more than an inch, some areas even more than 2 or 3 inches. So because of the rain that's going to come with Imelda, there is going to be at least a low end risk of flash flooding. Imelda and Umberto both steering moisture off to the west. So both of these will keep moisture at least located over the southeastern states. Our area of low pressure, our upper low, that provides the lift. And as you can imagine, you lift moisture, you get rain showers and thunderstorms. So through tomorrow morning, with that potential for some hit or miss downpours, we've got at least a low end risk of flash flooding. Possibility from areas really Asheville to Greenville and east. So a lot of North Carolina, a lot of South Carolina included, and coastal sections of Georgia. Here's the good news. Here's why it's a lower end risk and not a higher end risk. We're not dealing with constant heavy rain. It's off and on rain showers, waves of rain, as we described throughout the programming yesterday. There are a few thunderstorms out there, but for the most part, when you look at this rain, a lot of green on the map. So that's light to moderate rain. That's going to be manageable, especially given the broken nature. So you see some passing rain, then you get a few hours break. Then you may see some more rain showers. Then you get a break once again. So That'll keep the rainfall amounts in check and just allow that to absorb so you're not dealing with, a huge flash flood concern. Georgetown, you've seen the rainfall rates increasing a bit, but notice also some of this rain has been lightening in its intensity here as it's worked towards the eastern parts of South Carolina. Again, very few thunderstorms, so not many downpours, but a few embedded in there. And that's going to be the name of the game tonight and again tomorrow. So waves of rain. That is the key to remember. Tomorrow morning could see some of those rain showers set up along I-85 into upstate South Carolina. Also, the I-26 corridor could see some slowdowns due to rain. Tomorrow afternoon, they're scattered about. So the Augusta area, sections of I-20 could be looking at some heavier downpours for the late day drive. Eastern North Carolina could see some of that as well. I do think that rain chances really start to drop off overall, though, as we move into the early part of Wednesday and then throughout the day Wednesday. Clouds also clearing up. So some drier days ahead. And again, it's not a complete washout. It's just going to be some showers scattered about. People living in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, meanwhile, they're being warned about flooding from high tides, life-threatening rip currents, and dangerous surf conditions. So it's all about what's happening in the water. Our senior national correspondent, Justin Michaels, is in Kitty Hawk with a look at the conditions. We watch them every storm to see which one's going to be, the final straw. By the way, these are not, people are not living in these houses. So they have been, obviously declared completely unsafe, and we know they are. Here's Rodanthe, Google Earth image. We've got Highway 12. We've got the beach. This was back in October 2009. Put it into motion. We look at April 2023, and you can see how much of the beach has eroded back. And also, Highway 12, you just can't deal with it here. It's been, washed away, covered with water so many times that they just decided to relocate it. So in December 2019, there you can see Highway 12 along the Outer Banks. Now we've got this big bridge that goes back and around. So not in the coastal side because of all the problems that comes with that. Still, we have to close this route when we've got big storms. And we've had some big storms. Again, Aaron was a real powerhouse system back in the summertime, but never made landfall. In fact, didn't really get that close. It was hundreds of miles offshore, but because it was such a large and powerful system, it brought us the wave, and that came with the surf, it came with the coastal erosion, and it came with really, really dangerous rip currents. Now, Imelda, Umberto, not necessarily Umberto, but certainly Imelda, much closer past, so that's able to churn up the ocean as well in combo with Umberto. They're kind of like a team right now. We look at the forecast for Imelda. 80-mile-per-hour winds by later tomorrow, 90-mile-an-hour winds by Wednesday. Bermuda, very much right in the middle of that forecast cone, so we'll see if they take a direct hit. Do they see close impacts? Does it go towards one of the sides of the cone before it zooms on out? Coastal flood alerts, though, are up. Coastal flood warnings and coastal flood advisories for portions of eastern North Carolina and the outer.
What was your day at work today, honey? Well, I flew a night mission into the middle of a tropical storm. There was lightning all around. It was a bumpy ride. That's what you said.
So a normal day at the office.
Yeah, just a
I'm
day at
glad
the
you
office.
made it back safely.
The hurricane hunters, that's their office.
Yeah. You don't have pot pie before those flights.
No.
Actually, they have microwaves on board. They bring a lot of food on those planes.
You know what? I bet they're so used to it, they probably can eat like a pot pie.
I
Like,
mean,
I'm trying to think, what would be the worst to throw? A lasagna. And then go on hurricane hunters. Like, no, I'm thinking, like, what would be the worst? What would be
Something
the
with
worst?
peas and carrots in it.
Yeah. But those guys and gals are so used to it, they're like, whatever.
Their stomachs are
Yeah.
steel.
It's a big cargo plane. They bring all kinds of stuff on there. And those flights are like 12 hours long.
Yeah.
You got to eat.
You got to have snacks. They need to be sponsored by somebody to give them, like, really, like, good fuel. Like, maybe pizza ovens or something in that thing. I'm always
back
thinking.
there like a big pizza oven. And they put it
Oh, there would be
Drop
room.
signs, and then you get out your pizza oven. Yeah, exactly.
flipping the pizza down.
Wait, I dropped my crust. Oh, man. But, hey, you got to keep them comfortable. They're getting some very important
We've
data
always
for us.
joked that if Alex was going to be the director of the National Hurricane Center,
Yep.
her platform would be
Pizza parties.
pizza parties.
Pizza parties and
At the National Hurricane Center on the Hurricane Hunter planes. Well,
Did you ever throw a pizza
More
party
pizza.
at the Hurricane Center?
we had pizza parties. I had a milkshake making tradition
Well, this
every
platform's
January.
already been taken,
Okay, I
Alex.
need
You
a
gotta
new
come up
one.
with something else.
I got to work on my.
I was director there, and I was a foodie.
Now you know why he
so-
doesn't work there anymore.
Yeah.
You know we have a $17 trillion
Yeah, they were like,
deficit
"Dad, this
in the
budget's
government.
crazy. These milkshakes."
and pizza. at the
Everybody went
Hurricane
on a
Center. How
diet
dare
after I
they?
left. Yeah.
But everybody wanted to work for him.
There are reasons to celebrate. You know, in the emergency management community, they're breathing a big sigh of relief because the model solutions that showed Imelda turning out to sea before landfall came to be the ones that the way it's going to turn out. But Bahamas have been hit hard. Our East Coast beaches aren't going to be very friendly places this week. And then there's Bermuda, a double dipping.
Yes, so there's a lot still at play. You know, it's a very small island, but it is right in the middle of that forecast cone.
And you see they're both there side by side. Umberto and Imelda, both likely to have effects on Bermuda especially.
They're like peas and carrots because they've been together the whole time. This is Weather Unfiltered. We're going to break it all down for you. Let's start with the possibility of not just inches, but feet of rain. Obviously, that did not pan out, and we are all okay with that. Over the last few days, we did have some non-tropical rain, so this was not influenced by Imelda. But remember, Friday into Saturday, showers and thunderstorms scattered about did leave some areas in the 1 to 2 inch range, even some spots exceeding 2 or even 3 inches of rain. So that would have set the stage. Obviously, if we had huge rainfall from a landfalling system, we could have had big problems. There is going to be a low-end chance of flash flooding just because some of these areas were a little drenched this weekend. If you got a heavier downpour, that could lead to some localized flash flooding. But again, I don't think we're going to see much in the way of those issues. Imelda and Umberto steering that moisture off to the west. So what that's going to do is draw in some of the moisture across our southeast states. That's where our upper level low is located. That provides lift. So you get that moisture-filled air rising. You're going to get the cloud cover. You're going to get the rain showers. Things stay a little bit unsettled here. And at times, you could see some really heavy downpours. Through tomorrow morning, flash flooding risk is the lower end, but still possible from Asheville to Greenville, all the way over to the coast. So most of North Carolina, most of South Carolina included. And we've also got the 95 corridor down into eastern sections of Georgia. So Savannah down to Brunswick, down to the Florida-Georgia line. Wilmington area, you've seen some thunderstorms over the last several hours, but really at this point, it's just some embedded downpours. Same for coastal sections of South Carolina. Interior parts of the state, scattered, generally lighter rain. So the good news with the nature of this rain, given the track of Imelda and the location, is that it's more waves of rain, more scattered showers. So you may get a rain shower, you may get a downpour, but then you're going to have a little break. Then you'll get another shower, then you get a little break. So it's broken in nature. We're not dealing with the rain moving in and then just staying for hours and a system pouring over a region. Obviously, that would have promoted or been brought a much bigger flood threat. Charlotte area, Greenville area, you guys have seen the showers, but again, nothing you can't manage here in the short term. Overnight into tomorrow morning, we again look at the upstate getting in on some downpours. That would include the 26 corridor down. Got western North Carolina tomorrow afternoon, Augusta area watching for some, eastern North Carolina, but notice there are a lot of breaks between the showers. By early Wednesday, things start to not just dry out, but really clear out. So I think we'll be losing a lot of our cloud cover here by Wednesday morning. Rainfall to come for most areas. We'll keep it under an inch. Not to say you couldn't see a few localized spots that saw more if you got a few downpours, but I really do think for most this is going to be manageable rain. Well, people living in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, it's not the flooding from the rainfall, but the flooding from high tides, also life-threatening rip currents, dangerous surf conditions that they're being warned about. Weather Channel senior national correspondent Justin Michaels is in Kitty Hawk with a look at the conditions there.